Hello everybody and welcome to the next episode. And today we will talk about the props and emits. I have to say that as always, I plan to explain a little bit more, and I plan to say something about the Git repository. And as always, it was too optimistic. That's my disadvantage, I think. I am too optimistic. But we will discuss about the props and emits in details, and you will see how to use and how to play with these elements of Vue.js in a, I think, right way. So let's start coding and enjoy this episode. Okay, let's go back to our front-end application. And as you remember, we build our application in episode 5. For now, we have an absolutely simple application with two components. The parent component and parent component have two child components. Also, the child component has one property, a skin color. So let's start our development server with yarn dev-o. And here, as you see, we have a warning. Missing required prop skin color. Also, as you see, parent.view is in red color, and the child components in this parent view have this red underline. Moreover, if we will move the cursor over this component, Visual Studio Code will show us the TypeScript error message details. They are pretty messy, but we can read here that property skin color is missing in type. So that's the reason why we have these errors and why we have this warning. So for those who never used TypeScript before, as you see, TypeScript is quite helpful in displaying this kind of errors. And it may be very useful, and yes, it is very useful. So let's go back to our child component and let's fix this error. And absolutely the simplest way to skip this error and to fix it is to add this property, the skin property, as an optional. Now it's mandatory, but if we will add this question mark at the end of the property name, this will tell the TypeScript that this property is optional and may be undefined. So if we will save this file, as you see, now we have this property as an optional. There is no error in parent.view file, so it's not red anymore. Now we can use this skin color or we can skip it. Okay, let's now display this property in a child component, for now as a simple paragraph with the property value. And now, as you see, if we will use this child component with property skin color, you will see that this property is displayed in our first component, a first child component. As you see, using props in components is absolutely easy, and you can pass to components with the props any type of data, and I mean any type of data which is available in JavaScript, so it can be string, numbers, objects, whatever you want. But let's go further and use this skin color not only to display the property name, but to affect the color of this child component. Let's go back to our child component, and first let's remove this paragraph with property value. For now, we don't need it. As you see here, we have this skin color property, which is optional. And we can define it like here, it's absolutely correct. But in our case, I think the better approach will be to use something to define the default value for the skin color property, because every child have a skin color. To define default value for the properties, we can use the helper with defaults, which is described in Vue.js documentation. And here, as you see, we have a simple declaration of properties with default values. First, we have the interface. I mean, this is the type of the properties we will use. And then we declare the default values for each one of them. In our case, if we will use this script, it would be something like this. At first, we define the simple TypeScript interface for our props, and we have only one property, a skin color, which is optional, and it's a string. Then we define the properties with defaults, and the props have the type of props of our interface we have created. And then we define that the default value for skin color is a string A, B, C. Let's restart this paragraph with property skin color value. We will use it only for a few seconds more. As you see, now the application shows us the default value for skin color in child components. And if we will pass the another skin color in our parent component, as you see, as you may expect it, we have another skin color in the first child component and the ABC, the default value, in the second child component. It's simple and it works just like we expected. Let's go back to our child component and remove this paragraph again. Now let's go further, and now we will use this property to change the skin color, not only to display this property value. For now, our skin color property is a string. That means that any kind of string can be passed to this parameter. I think we can be a little bit more exact, and we can allow here only a few skin colors that will be available in this property. So in this case, let's open our Tailwind helper website, and let's choose a few classes that will be available as a background color. And I'm choosing BG red 800, green 800, blue and orange. And now, as you see, our skin color default value is with an error. That's of course because ABC is not on this list which are allowed in our interface. So let's change the default value as BG orange 800. Now everything is okay. And absolutely for the last time, let's display this skin color as a string in child component. When we will go to the parent component and in the second child, we will set this skin color property as a BG blue 800. As you see, both components have the property of the skin color. In the first child, we have a default value. The second one is this which we defined in the parent component. So we have everything ready. We have these skin colors and we can use it as a class in our div element in child component. To do this, we can add a dynamic class which will point to this prop skin color. And as you see, we have the static classes rounded and dynamic class props skin color. Vue.js will join all of these classes. Let's add also the small padding and white text to our static classes. It works, and we could stay with this code like this but I think we can make a small improvement here. As you see, we have these static classes rounded p-4 and text white, and a dynamic class which refers to props skin color. Let's use only one dynamic class, and let's return the computed value for these classes. As you see, it's only the string that contains these static classes and the dynamic class from props skin color. I am using computed here just to be sure that if the props skin color will change, then my classes will be updated as well in this child component. Computed will watch this property props skin color and will react and update the computed classes list every time this props skin color will change. Let's add the second property to our child component, and this property will be responsible to check whether the child component is spinning or not. In the Tailwind documentation, we can find that we have a few base animations we can easily use with Tailwind classes. One of these animations is animate spin, and we will use this class to animate our child component. In a child Vue file, let's add the isSpinning property. Unlike the skin color, this property is a simple true-false boolean, and in a computed class, we will use this property to add the animate spin class or empty string. If true, then we will add animate spin class. If false, we are adding the empty string. And we are returning the whole list of classes with our static classes, rounded p-4 text white, then the props skin color class, and the animate spin class, which can be empty string. And as you see, if you are a backend programmer, if you are a Python backend programmer, you can see that this JavaScript string is very similar to Python's f strings. Okay, that's I think all for the child.vue component. Now let's make a changes in the parent.vue to control if the child components are spinning or not. So we have two child components in the parent.vue, so I am adding two variables, child1 spin and child2 spin, and both are the booleans, just like our property, and at the beginning they are all false. Now we have to pass these variables to our child component, and as you remember, we have this isSpinning property. So let's add in the first child component isSpinning child1 spin, and in the second isSpinning property child2 spin with the colon at the beginning. The last thing we have to have in the parent component is to have the possibility to change these variables child1 spin and child2 spin from false to true and from true to false. So to do this, let's add the two simple buttons, and okay, as you see, these buttons looks like no buttons. So let's add some styling to these buttons. I am using the style section, which is the lang SCSS, and we can add the scoped here. The scoped here is for assure that this style will be used only within this component. So it's not a global style for the button. I'm also using the apply directive from the Tailwind, and this directive it's do the same as it's written here. It's just apply the classes I want to use in the button element of my HTML. And after saving the file, we have an error. Preprocessor dependency SAS not found. Did you install it? Try yarn add -d SAS. Okay, did I install it? No, I didn't. So let's add this dependency to our project. Let's use the traditional way of installing something on Ubuntu and copy paste this command. After a few seconds, you see in the package.json file that in the dev dependencies, we have this SAS interpreter. Dev dependencies because we have used the flag -d. So let's close this file and let's go further. After restarting the dev server, as you see, everything works fine and we have two nice buttons at the top of this parent component. So we can now make these buttons clickable, and to react for the clicking on this button, let's use the Vue.js v-on directive, or in a shortcut @click. @click is the same as v-on :click, but we are using a shortcut because we are lazy. So @click and @click, we will change the child1 spin to the opposite of the child1 spin. So if it's true, then will be false. If it's false, then it will be true. And the same with the child2 spin value. As you see, if we are clicking now the buttons, the child starts spinning. That's because they are adding the class animate spin or not. Everything works just like we expected. Hooray! Let's make some changes in the child Vue component, and here I am moving the interface of our props to separate file. First, I think it's convenient and it's more readable when we have types in one specific place in our application. That's the reason number one. And the second, of course, the code will be more readable. So let's create the types child.ts file, and here I am moving this interface with the export at the beginning because we want to use it in the other files. So we have to export this interface. Also, the skin color will be the type, and this is our types of our classes. Nothing changes here. And the skin color will have the type of skin color types. So that's all, and we can now easily use these types in our files by importing it. As you see in Visual Studio Code, we have this quick fix option, and it's not perfect. Sometimes it just doesn't work. But in this case, it works. So we can use the quick fix, and by clicking this quick fix, the Visual Studio Code will add the necessary code. In this case, it will add the import of the interface for the child props. And after saving the file, we have an error. As we can see, we have another dependency, like we don't have a TypeScript. So let's stop the dev server by Ctrl+C and add this TypeScript to our dev dependencies with --dev flag or -d. And as you see, after adding this TypeScript interpreter, everything works fine. Let's now explain the things I have used a few seconds ago. And this may be confused, especially for those who just start programming with the Vue.js, with the Nuxt, and with the front-end applications. As you remember, in the parent.vue, we have set these child components with two properties, skin color and the is spinning. But the is spinning property has this colon at the beginning. Why we have these two types of setting properties to our components? Okay, I think the best way to learn something is to learn by practice, so let's practice this a little bit. Let's create the child1 skin color variable and with value bggreen 800. Now let's assign this variable to our skin color property. As you see, we have an error. I mean, two errors. First, our child component is now transparent. And the second, we have this TypeScript error with the information that child1 skin color is not assignable to type skin color. That's because we are passing here not the value of the variable child1 skin color, but we are passing here only the string. So just remember, if we are setting the property without the colon at the beginning, this is the static property, and we can pass here only the strings. And because we are passing a child1 skin color string to our child component, and we have no child1 skin color class, which will define the child component's background color, that's why we have this error, and that's why our child component is now transparent. So let's try to fix it. As you may expect, if we will add colon at the beginning of the skin color property, everything should work fine. And it works fine. As you see, our child component is now green, but not everything works as we expected. We have a TypeScript error. Why? That's simple. When we declare the child skin color as a bggreen 800, the TypeScript interpreter just declare and just set this child1 skin color as a string, because we are set this value as a string when we declare this child1 skin color variable. But in fact, the TypeScript doesn't know if it will be a bggreen 800, bgred 800, or some other string like I like pancakes. And that's why we have this error, because our skin color property may be only a few classes that we allow. So in this case, we just need to set this child1 skin color variable and declare that this variable will be in skin color type. That's all. Now everything looks okay. We don't have a TypeScript error, and our child component is green. But let's check something more. Now let's make some changes, and I will modify the child1 skin color value from the bggreen 800 to bgblue 800, and I will do it after 4 seconds with a simple set timeout function. As you see, okay, I will add also logging the new value of child1 skin color just to show you that we have changed the child1 skin color after this 4 seconds. In the console, as you see, if we will save it and we will refresh the page, after 4 seconds, our child1 skin color is now with the value bgblue 800, but our child component is still green. And I expected it should be blue. Why it's still green? This code doesn't work because the variable child1 skin color is a plain string, not the reactive property. In Vue 3, we have the reactivity system to track changes in data. But this system only works with objects that Vue can observe, such as ref or reactive. When we use ref, Vue creates a reactive property that can be tracked and updated reactively. Just like we have created the child1 spin variable and child2 spin. They are reactive. In our case, the variable child1 skin color, as I said, is a plain string. So Vue cannot track the changes to this variable and update the Vue accordingly. Therefore, after the 4 seconds, the color of the first child is still green. To correct this code, we will use the ref to create the reactive property, just like with the child1 spin. And at the beginning, we are setting this variable to bg green 800. To fix this TypeScript error, we have to declare that this ref is a skin color type. In our case, now, the child1 skin color is a reactive property, and Vue will track its changes. By using child1 skin color value and changes after 4 seconds to bg red 800, so after these 4 seconds, the value will be changed to bg red 800, and it will affect the template and it will affect the component. Now, after the 4 seconds, it starts being red. Also, we can add the same changes in, for example, child2 spin ref, and we will set it to true after 4 seconds. Now, everything, as you see, works just like we expected. So, remember, if we want to use the dynamic property, first you have to add this colon at the beginning of the property name, because without this you can pass only the strings. And the second, you have to use some reactive objects. Now we are using the ref. We will talk a little bit more about the reactive in the future. So this will allows us to create dynamic changes in our templates, in our views, in our components. I hope this short side note is useful for you, and now you will use the props in your components in the right way, and now you understand these small differences between passing the static property, the dynamic property, and why we have to use the ref objects or reactive objects. So let's go further and let's make some changes in our components. Now, that was the side note, so I am cleaning up this code. We won't use it. Let's now make a small improvement in our parent.vue component, and as you see, we have these two buttons, spin child1 and spin child2. They always display the same text, spin child1. Doesn't matter if we clicked it and child is spinning or not. I think we can change the text here and we will display the text spin child1 if the child is not spinning, and stop spinning child if the child is spinning. Approach number one is we can use the vif directive. Just put this text spin child1 into the span, for example, and we will display it only if the child1 spin is false. And then we will have the velse directive with the text stop spinning child1. That's simple, and you have to only remember that velse directive can be used only just after the vif directive. We cannot put some div here or paragraph or something. Now, as you see, it works just like we expected. If we click the button and change the child1 spin value, the text is changing to stop spinning child1. Okay, that works. But the code is quite messy here. I think we can use a little bit better approach. but of course it's up to you because this is absolutely correct. And I will show you just approach I prefer. Instead of using this vif directive, I will use the computed. And as you see, we are returning the right button text with the computed child1 button text. If the child1 spin is true, then we are returning stop spinning child1. And if it's false, then we are returning spin child1. Absolutely simple, as you see. Now, if we will display this child1 button text in our button, as you see, everything works fine. And this is the second approach. It's also correct. I prefer this way. Of course, we can use the same with the child2 button text. For me, it's more readable, but if you prefer the approach number one, it's also correct. It's up to you what you want to use. But I think I have an argument that may convince you to use computed. That's my secret weapon. My secret weapon here is the Vue.js documentation. As you see, we have this guide section, and here we can find the computed properties description. There is an example, I think very similar to our example with our button text. We have this author, books, length, and we displayed here yes or no. It's simple and it's absolutely correct, but as it's written here, the template is getting a bit cluttered. I agree with this. We have to look at it for a second before realizing that it performs a calculation depending on author, book's length. So, more importantly, we probably don't want to repeat ourselves if we need to include this calculation in the template more than once. That's important, and I will show you why in a few seconds. So, they decided, in this case, they decided to use the computed value, and we are putting this published books message with the computed. Now it's more readable, in my opinion, and the code is clean. Also, as you see, the computed function expects to be passed a getter function, and the returned value is computed ref, similar to normal refs. It's very convenient, I think. So we can access the computed results as the publish books message value. Computed refs are also auto-unwrapped in templates, so we can reference them without this .value in template expressions. It works just like simple ref. The most important thing by using the computed properties is that the computed properties use cache. As we can read here, the computed properties are cached based on their reactive dependencies. A computed property will only re-evaluate, and that's recalculate, when some of its reactive dependencies have changed. That's absolutely useful, and it means that the calculations for the new value of the computed property will only happen when something will change, and that's absolutely great. So as you see, we have these two approaches in making dynamic changes in our templates, in our components, in our application. And to be honest with you, in my early projects, when I started using the Vue.js, I was using mostly the VF-VS directive. Then I switched to the computed. The code is cleaner, and we are using the cache. It's absolutely important. So now the computed property is always the first choice I am using when make changes like this. And I hope these arguments convince you to use the computed properties as well. The last thing I want to change and I want to show you in this application, in this parent Vue component, is to react on changes made in child component. So for now, we have made changes with the props from parent to child. Now we will create some changes from child to parent, and the parent component will react with this. First, we can assume that the child can be hungry, and if they are hungry, then we will start cooking as a parent. So let's create the div with the text cooking, and I will add some class my-4. That means that we will have the margin top and margin bottom with the size 4. This div element will be displayed only if the hungry kid value will be true. And at the beginning we are setting it to false. As you see, we have this hungry kid false, so the cooking is not displayed. Now let's make changes in a child component. In a child component, I am adding the button, let's call it I'm hungry. That's what kids say if they are hungry. And okay, as you see, it's without any style. So that's because we have add scoped in our parent.vue component, and the scope means, as you remember, that this style is only in within this parent.vue component. If we will remove this, the button will be displayed in a style of the buttons we have. But this approach is absolutely not correct, because in my opinion this will cause a lot of problems, because we have different styles in different files. So if you are using with the scope, it's okay, but if you are using it without scope, so it's better to use the general file with the styles. And I am adding this in the assets style.scss file, where I am moving this button definition in the CSS classes. To make it possible to read this assets style file, we have to add this in a Nuxt config in the CSS key. We are passing here the list of the files we want to use in our projects. For now, it's only the style SCSS file, so let's add it. Now, if we are restart the dev server, as you see, everything works fine, and our button is now displayed in a parent component and in a child component. Let's close these files and make a small changes in in our buttons, how they looks like. This is your free time. You can play with the Tailwind classes and prepare the button you love to use in your application. I'm not focusing on it. It will be changed in the future. But for now, it's okay. We have removed the mar-2 class margin right, so let's add it in the parent.vue in the first button. And in the child component, let's add text center just to center the text. Not surprised. And as you see, it doesn't work. Why it doesn't work? And okay, we have a typo, so nothing special here. Just correct this with the text center. This is the right class name, and now everything looks like we expected. In our child.vue component, we have to make a changes that after clicking the button I am hungry, the child component have to inform the parent.vue component that something has changed. In other words, it have to emit the information that I'm hungry, and the parent should react on this. In Vue.js, to define these custom events that then can be used in the component, we are using define emits. And in the base usage, it's only the simple list with the names of the events. Then they can be then emit from the child component to parent component. So let's define our emit hungry. That's something what we can emit. And then by clicking this I am hungry button, we are emitting it with the emit and then the emit name, in our case hungry. That's the first thing we have to do. Now let's go to the parent.vue component. In parent.vue file, in our first child component, we are adding @hungry. The same you see, we have this @click, and this is the event click on button. We have this custom event we defined in child component, and now we can listen this event in parent component. So @hungry, we are changing our hungry kid value from false to true. To make it a little bit more readable and to make this code a little bit more clean, I am moving this simple changing the value of hungry kid to true into the function toggle cooking, and we will at hungry event we will run this toggle cooking function. So first let's change this value hungry kid to true, and after 2 seconds we will change this value to false, so our cooking div will be displayed for 2 seconds. Let's check if it works. As you see, it works. Okay, hooray! We can now propagate this @hungry event to the second child component. And now, as you see, if we are clicking the I'm hungry in the child component 1 or 2, the parent starts cooking. So that was the first using of the emits, but now let's make some improvements. Okay, we have the first custom event, we can use it now, but let's make some improvements. As a parent, I would like to know which kid is hungry. For now, we just know that kid is hungry, but we don't know which one. So let's make changes in our code, and let's inform the parent which kid click the button I am hungry. To do this, first we need to add the new property to our child component, and it will be the property name. So in our child props interface object, I am adding the name field, which is mandatory. Now, as you see in our parent.vue component, we have an errors in child components because they don't have names. So let's add the name for our child. First will be the Kate, and the second will be John. Finally, our kids have names. I'm also displaying this kid's name in a child component instead of this static text. Now it's look better. But let's go back to our emit event. We want to emit the kid's name with the hungry event. And Vue.js predict that it will be useful. It's absolutely simple. To emit the kid's name, we just, to emit any kind of arguments, we just need to add the comma after the event name, and then we are passing the arguments. Then in the parent component, we can listen this event, and we can use the inline arrow function as the listener, which allows us to access the event argument. That's why I use this inline arrow function in the parent.view component. As you see, if we add the console log to our toggle cooking function, we see in the console the kid's name, which is hungry. That's something we can use now in a parent.view file. Our goal is to display the text cooking for John, or if we have two kids hungry, cooking for Kate and John. So to do this, let's first change this hungry kid, which is now simple boolean. We will use the array of strings where we will store the kids' name, which are hungry. After 2 seconds, we will remove these kids from the array. So we have this hungry kids array, and in a toggle cooking function, we are just pushing the kid's name to this array. But we have to check if the kids exist in this array, just to not multiply the kids' names in this array. So if the kids exists and is in the hungry kids array, we are just skipping it and not pushing the kid's name to this array. After the 2 seconds, we will remove the kids from this array. If you have experience in programming in JavaScript, now you see that this toggle cooking code is a little bit wrong, but don't worry, we will back to this later. We have to change the condition when to display this cooking div, and now we will use that hungry kids length is falsy when it's 0 length. So let's just check the length of hungry kids array. And the last thing I change is I'm adding the computed property, which will return the hungry kids values with the simple join. Okay, we have a small mistake in toggle cooking. Of course, we are pushing the kid name if the index is equal to -1, because this means that the kids is not in the array, so we push the kid's name. So everything should work now. I think we can just test it if it works. Now we see the right text, and we know which kid is hungry and which kid have the preparing the meals. Let's now make a second improvement and display what kind of meal is prepared for the kids. First, in a child.view component, we will define the accepted meals accepted for the kids, and it's spinach, broccoli and tomato soup. As we know, everyone likes tomato soup, and of course spinach and broccoli. Kids loves it. With this accepted meals array, now we can send the second argument in our emit, but that's not something we want to do, because we don't want to send always the spinach. So let's add the handle hungry click method, and this method will be triggered every time the button I'm hungry will be clicked. First, we will in this method, first we will get the random meal from the accepted meals, and then we will emit this hungry event with the kid's name and the random meal. Now in the parent.view component, if we will add this meal to our list of arguments, and we will console it. As you see, we have the right values in our console. As you remember, a few seconds ago, I have mentioned that this code is a little bit wrong and it has the side effects that we don't want to have. Look how it works now. If we will add two kids, they are hungry, then the removing the kids from the array is not in the right order. That's because we are counting the index of our kid name only once at the beginning, but after the 2 seconds, when we remove these kids from the array, the index of these kids can be different. So we have to count the index also after these 2 seconds. Now with this change, everything works just like we expected. So the kids are adding in the right order and remove in the right order from the array. Let's go back to our child.vue component, and here, as you see, we are returning the props name and the random meal with our emit. That's okay, but I think the better approach here is that if we will return the whole object in one argument. And this object will have the name, the kid's name, and the meal. In a file with our types, let's add the simple interface for hungry kid and export it. Of course, we will have here a name and a meal, both are strings. And that's it. Now we can use this type in our component. Don't forget to import this type from the files. I am using this quick fix option in Visual Studio Code. And now we are ready to send this hungry kid object to our parent.vue. So in the parent.vue, we will now receive in toggle cooking not the kid name and the meal name, but the hungry kid object. Also the hungry kids, it's not the array of strings, but it's a array of hungry kid type. With this change, now our index, searching for index won't work. That's because we don't have the array of strings, but we have the array of objects, objects with the name and the meal. So to find the index of the object with the kid name, we will use the map function, which, as you know, will iterate each object and search for the item name and check if the item name it's the equal with our object hungry kid name. If it is, then it will return the index. With this change, we can now push the object, the received object, if it's not found, and everything should work just like we expected. And as you see, if we will display this hungry kids variable, it is working. We have these kids, we have these objects with the kid name and the meal. But our computed need to be fixed because, as you see, we have cooking for object. Our current value from cooking for computed property is simple. It's a simple join and we display the cooking for Kate and John. Now we have to make something more complex, and we will return the text like cooking tomato soup for Kate and broccoli for John. To achieve this, we will use the switch case function. In switch case function, we will check the hungry kids value length, and here in fact we have 3 options. First, the 0 length, and this means that in this case we will return the text no cooking. The second case is when we have 1 kid, in this array, then we will return the cooking hungry kids value, the first element 0, meal for hungry kids 0 name. And that's simple. The default value for now, I am leaving the cooking for more than one kid. We will back to this in a few seconds. Let's also remove this if condition. And now, as you see, it looks okay. Now we can see that we are cooking for a kid and the meal name. But we have to do something with this default value, where we will return the text with all the kids' names we have in this hungry kids array. In a default value, we will use the same as in toggle cooking, the map function. And here, as you see, we have absolutely simple comparison, and we check if the index of the object is not the last one, and then we are adding the text and kid meal for kid name. And if it's the last index is the same with the hungry kids value length, then we are just returning without this end. That will create us the text just like we expected. So we are cooking tomato soup for Kate and broccoli for John, if there will be 2 kids. So let's save it and check if it works just like we expect. As you see, it is. Let's change this timeout to 4 seconds, just to be sure that it works just like we expected. Also, I am adding this space just to format the text we have at the end. Now, as you see, everything works fine. The last thing I want to check is the behavior of this application and component if we will add another kid. So let's add the child component with the name Bart. And as you see, if we are clicking the button I'm hungry on each kid, the text with the information that we are cooking some meal for the kid name works just like we expected. So everything is okay. Hooray! Let's at the end, let's clean up a little bit this code. And the last small trick at the end, as you see, if we will change the return value for the case 0 in our computed cooking for, then we can use this vif directive with the just checking cooking for. In the case where it's 0, it's falsy, then this div won't be displayed. If it returns the text, then it's true, and the div element will be displayed. So that's the small trick. Okay, my friends, that's all for today. We have a pretty long episode today, and as my wife says that sometimes I talk too much. I think I have to agree with her. I mean, I have to agree with my wife, if you know what I mean. But anyway, we have learned, I think, many useful things today. First, we was introducing the props, and we know the general props usage. We know the difference between the static and the dynamic props. We was using TypeScript, that's important. I explain you the reactivity system in Vue.js, and we know now how it works. And we was understanding and using the Composables to manipulate our user interface. Also, at the end, we was using the Emit with creating the custom Emit events. So, a pretty big bunch of knowledge, and I hope it was useful for you. And I think this is the most important. I hope I didn't bore you. But in the next episode, we will use something, I think something extra. Now we are using the props and we are using the emits to share data between the components. In the next episode, I plan to switch our application and start using storage, the Pinia storage. Then you will see how we can simplify our application and clear the code with this Pinia storage, and how easy it is to share data between components using Pinia storage. So that's all for today. As I said, have a great time and see you soon to the next episode. Bye bye.